Welcome to another episode of Two Women Who Give a Puck. I'm Tara.
And I am Sarah.
And we are here today and every week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is, talking about how we can increase women's participation in hockey, how we can make it more equitable, how we can make it more fun. What am I missing? What else are we trying to do?
That's it.
Make it awesome.
Yep. Bringing awareness to the environment that we find ourselves in, women coaches and players in hockey, and having tangible ways to create positive change in that.
I forgot the tangible part.
Yep.
So today we don't have a guest today, but we're going to do something a little different. We are going to have a conversation about a recent experience we had. We recently were interacting with another person in our hockey community, and they said, well, that experience isn't unique to women. And then Sarah and I started talking and realized, you know what, a lot of these experiences that we have probably aren't unique to women, and we don't want people to not buy into our message or buy into the importance of our message because they write it off as, well, they're wrong because it happens to men too. And it probably does. And in this case, the topic we were talking about does happen to men, but it maybe is amplified with women, and the sensitivity that maybe women and girls have to some of these conversations we're having, or some of these transgressions or situations or environments, might be stronger, or it might be easier for women and girls to step back when they're in those situations. And so we kind of just want to talk through some of those things and talk through why it's important for men to still care, even though they maybe experienced the same thing, why it's important for parents to care, why it's important for coaches to care, and associations to care. And so that's kind of our goal for today.
Right. Yeah. And with this conversation, it wasn't an unusual response. So it's we were talking to him about the experiences we felt when we first started coaching this year, which we have talked about in previous episodes. And so his response was kind of like, oh, yeah, I deal with this all the time. You just don't hear it. Like, it happens to the guys as well, which that response is a pretty common response that I've heard, even when I'm talking about, like, oh, we want to do this for female athletes. It's like, well, guy athletes, male athletes or male coaches, like, they need that too. And it's like, yes, that is a valid point. However, it kind of like discredits or dismisses and creates an easy solution to what female athletes or female coaches are feeling in saying, like, oh, well, it happens to everyone. So just, it kind of has that feeling of like, well, just get over it. Like, it's not that big of a deal. It happens to everyone. Get over it. But that isn't necessarily the case, because like you said, there's so many underlying currents and societal biases that we are experiencing, that we don't experience those situations in the same way that the males do.
Exactly. And when you say just get over it, which I don't know that anyone's actually said those exact words. To me, maybe they have. My husband has, probably. Love you. Yeah. The problem is, a choice we are given at that point in time is, do we get over it? Do we, and not validate our own feelings, not be true to how we're feeling? Do we live with it and just suck it up and try and make a difference wherever we can? Or do we say, you know what, I'm gonna walk away? And unfortunately, what happens most of the time is, depending on your support system, you walk away, which is the big problem that we're trying to address here. Or you shove it all deep and down inside and you don't deal with it, and you just let your emotions fester, and then you become bitter, and you don't become a good coach, a good participant, a good teammate, whatever it might be. And so, yeah, we can get over it, but that's not helping anybody.
Right. And we do get over it.
Yeah.
I mean, we have gotten over it. That's why we still are coaching hockey.
Yeah.
And that's why we are still playing hockey, is because we keep hearing these things and we get over it.
Yeah.
But I think, a big, or like a tangible takeaway is really that comment of, like, everyone deals with it, or the guys deal with this too, where it's not a solution.
Right.
Like, that's not a quick and easy solution to what's going on in the environment. It doesn't mean that, oh, since everyone has to deal with it, there's nothing that we have to change, and you're part of the group because you also have to deal with it, because we know there's so much more behind the scenes and deep down in society's, the way that society works, that like it's not the same. We're not part of that group because there are so many stereotypes. And I did pull up, so from coaching her, so the Tucker Center at the University of Minnesota that does research in women and girls in sport, they have a program called Coaching Her that really highlights like all the biases that, our female athletes are up against, and then us as female coaches that we are also up against. And so I could go ahead and read some of these just to highlight, yeah, we're not the only ones who deal with these messages, but there's more behind the scenes for us than there are for, my husband or for the male coaches.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. This is some of the common stereotypes heard and said about girls in sport. So girls should be well behaved. Girls are sensitive. Girls mature faster than boys, so they should be able to do more. Girls are not as fast or strong as boys. Girls are less interested in sports than boys. Girls are not as good at sports as boys. Girls can't throw, or that common phrase,
You throw like a
you throw like a girl, which is not meant as a compliment.
no.
Girls are more emotional than boys. Girls are less competitive than boys. They are less confident than boys. They are better at listening and following instruction than boys. Girls should look feminine and ladylike when playing sports.
We're gonna have a whole episode on that one.
Playing sports will make girls look and act more masculine, and some sports are more appropriate for boys than girls. And so all of these points and messages are those like invisible undercurrents that so many people don't realize they're.
I would say you and I have heard or felt or
Oh.
been blatantly told all of the things on that list
Oh,
before.
yes.
More than once.
Most definitely. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like little girls are still hearing this. Like I had posted an article on Facebook that there was a girl in a town in Minnesota. She was 8 or 9,
Mm-hmm.
and she just loves football. It was like Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce. She's like, I love football and I want to play. And instead of a boy on the playground seeing her and saying like, oh, she likes the same thing that I do, let's like get together and let's play football and let's have fun.
Yep.
Instead, he decided to approach her and let her know that girls can't play football. Girls don't play football, and bullying her. And so, I mean, this happened this year, I believe. I'll post the article in the show notes. So that's just continued proof that it's like all of these things are still the undercurrents. Did that boy's parents tell him girls can't play football? Or if you see a girl, you should tell her that she shouldn't be doing that? Probably not. I don't know for sure, but I'm thinking no. But he picked up.
He got the messaging that we got. He just got it from the other side. Yep.
Yeah. And that is really why we're here, and why it is kind of very dismissive to female coaches or female athletes when you simply tell them like, well, that happens to the boys as well. So
the other piece of that is we have, particularly us as female coaches, have chosen to step into a male-dominated environment. And we're already uncomfortable. We're already putting ourselves out there. We're already in a spot where we don't have a lot of peers to rely on. We don't have a great support system. I mean, I'll reiterate again, I think both you and I have some wonderful people that do support us in our worlds, both at the rink and at home and in the rest of our world. But our support system probably doesn't look like a male coach's at all. That being said, though, so we're out there, we're already uncomfortable, and you tell me to get over it. That's a lot harder to do than when you say it to a guy who's just going to go talk to his buddy and have, four guys in the locker room and be like, oh yeah, parents said that. It's different,
right,
when you're alone and you're a female and you're feeling kind of out on a limb by yourself. And so get over it you're getting over a lot more than if a male coach is told to get over it. Yeah.
Right. They haven't been told as often that they shouldn't be. playing sports, and for sure that they shouldn't be playing hockey. Like, it's a
Yeah.
space that they're accepted in, where we're still trying to find that feeling of acceptance, because we still get told those things of, like, girls don't belong here. And so we have so much more to unpack and get over.
Yep.
And then when you hear those comments, it's you start to question, like, your own sanity and your own feelings and your own
Ability.
and your confidence. Just
Yep.
you get so confused. It's like, well, should I just get over it? You're right. I mean, yes, it's true. Like, male coaches also deal with this. So you
Yes.
start to think like, oh, well, yeah, I should just get over it and, stop whining, like, stop whining about things that are happening to other people.
Right.
But
And well, and we talked about this in a previous episode as well, is when you criticize a room full of boys, they all say, oh, she must be talking about someone else. If you criticize a room full of girls, they all take it personally and be like, oh my gosh, I have to fix that. And I feel like that's the same kind of thing we deal with as coaches. If someone even says something about your team, you take it personally. And so people are always going to talk. People are always going to have negative things to say. People are always going to critique you, whatever. But when that happens, I think the tangible thing here is when that happens, you need to be supportive. If you're one of the assistant coaches, if you're another parent on the team, if you're a friend, whatever it might be, you need to support them and figure out a way to help them get through that. Or you need to reassure them, like, no, you did the right thing. But when you just let it pass, or you just say, you'll be fine, they'll get over it, you're not helping the situation. You're not being supportive. You're not making them feel like they belong. And then the more that happens without somebody getting support, the closer they get to leaving.
right.
And that's what we're trying to avoid. So
Right. Getting more females into that space. So that is a way to support female coaches, is if that statement of, well, the male coaches deal with this same thing, and it ever pops into your mind as a response to something that a female coach may be telling you, or a female athlete too, if it's, well, boys have to deal with that too. Like, it's tough for boys as well. Like, rather than saying that, really stopping and listening to what they're saying and helping to validate their feelings. Because I think, not dismiss them, because there's so much more to it than just that specific situation.
Yeah.
And so being more supportive and having a deeper conversation, or just listening. Like, you don't have to find a solution necessarily, but just listen and help them feel validated and validate their feelings.
Yes.
And maybe you can dig deeper and help them understand why they're feeling that way. And then also, when you're talking to female athletes, or if you overhear anything in the sports environment with, you throw like a girl.
Yep.
Maybe making a response. I've heard that quite a few times in the neighborhood, where it's, dismissing female athletes, or, joking with my son, like, oh, you throw like a girl. And I like to throw a comment back and just be like, what? Girls are great athletes too.
Yep.
So that's not, it can be a compliment.
Yes.
Like, when are we going to get to the point where, throwing like a girl can be a compliment, or just that, little boy and that little girl can just both play football together and have a common hobby without having to, put the girl down and telling her that she
we don't need to make things, gender specific. There's no reason any kid can't play baseball or hockey or football or tennis or whatever sport they want to play. And there's no reason there's nothing gender specific about any of those sports. And we should be thinking about that way, because it's like, as a parent, the only thing I want is my kid to have some activity that they want to be engaged in and are going to care about. And they're going to learn about teamwork, and they're going to learn about sportsmanship, and they're going to learn about winning and losing, and the working hard and meeting goals and all of those things. And I don't care if my kid wants to go. I mean, my youngest son danced for several years and he loved it. And whatever, I was happy. I mean, honestly, those dance teachers yelled at him more than I do. And I thought that was great. So, but, and the big piece of this too is, if you hear any coach being talked to, any player being talked to in a negative light, step in. Like, it doesn't, yes, it impacts females more, but it still impacts everybody. No one likes to be told they're doing a terrible job. No one likes to be second guessed. No one likes to have gossip or rumors or any of that stuff around them. If like parents, just other coaches step in and say something, because the only thing you're going to do is make it better. You're not, by shutting that stuff down, you're not making anything worse. And you're going to help the women more than the men.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a huge takeaway. Like, be aware of the messages that are going around, like around the rink, at the safety meetings, which for anyone who doesn't know, hockey parents are pretty damn good at their safety meetings, which is actually drinking in the parking lot beforehand, or a bar, because sometimes
it's cold in the winter. Yeah.
-30 in Minnesota, so you need to actually go to a bar.
Yeah.
But being aware of those conversations and what things are being said, and are they being supportive? And again, too, if you do have a female coach in the mix, just understanding that that female coach is going to be extra sensitive to that criticism, because she's heard a hell of a lot more of it in the world of ice hockey than any of her male counterparts most likely have.
Yep.
Even boys who didn't play hockey would make sure to tell me that girls aren't good at hockey.
Yep.
And I would destroy them on the ice. Like, you can't, you've never seen me play. You can't even stand on the ice, but yet you feel the need to tell me that, like, girls aren't good enough to play hockey.
Yeah.
When I would kick your ass at hockey.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yep. So moving on to other things that are unique, or not unique to women, but more impactful to women. So we talked about, comments. We've talked about language that's used. What other things do you think you see in that environment?
I mean, a lot is, it's the language. It's a lot is our actions too. So many male coaches, or just males in general who have daughters, say that they're very supportive of their daughters and their daughters being athletes.
Yeah.
Then their actions don't necessarily always reflect.
No, and you see that more than I do, because I'm
right
with boys and you're with the girls. But I very much saw that when they were younger and they were together, and there was some behaviors by some of the girl dads that, it's like, well, your son was in the same space, or had that same experience right now. You would have backed off and let him figure it out, but instead you're swooping in and getting noises here. Okay, but instead they're swooping in and trying to fix it for them. And I think it's a great thing actually to talk about, is when we ask for support, it doesn't mean save us, fix us, whatever. It means stand by us. It means have a kind word. It means shut down the negative stuff. But and the girls are the same way. They don't want someone to come pick them up the ice. They don't want someone to wipe their tears. They want someone to say, good game, get them next time. Yeah, that stinks, but you're getting better. Whatever it might be, they don't want someone to fix it for them. That's not why they're playing hockey. That's not why they're playing any sport.
Right. No, they want to feel strong and capable and independent and tough and aggressive. And that, especially hockey specifically, like, those are some of the great things that you just, like, you feel graceful too, like being on the ice and skating fast.
Yep.
Being able to make turns, crossovers, like, there's some grace in that, in both the female and male athletes. And then there's that toughness and that speed that's so unique to hockey. And the girls want that just as much as the boys. So making sure that you're setting up those girls to also feel that and experience that is huge.
Yeah, agreed. And I just feel like we're being like negative towards, but like you people know who you are. Like, if you think you can do better, you can probably do better.
Yeah,
so that's kind of the But I think that there's the big takeaway is, if you can do something to support somebody, just do it.
Yeah,
even if it's a kind word.
Be aware of the messages that you're thinking, the messages that you're saying out loud, because your children are going to be picking up on those, and then they're going to absorb those messages, and then they're going to, filter that out into the world. And is that a message that we want to continue? Like, do we want to continue the message of little boys telling little girls that you can't play football, you can't play hockey? Or do we want to create a world where everyone gets to experience the joys of athletics, even if it's in a more traditionally aggressive sport like football or hockey?
Yeah.
Because there's so much that can give to every child and every adult, even. Like just those feelings of accomplishment and strength and overcoming adversity. So that, being aware of what you're thinking, what you're saying, what you're putting out into the world, and adjusting that if that's not going to be supportive of the players and coaches who are in front of you. And also having that awareness that dismissing what the female athletes or coaches are feeling does not solve the problem, because there's so much more behind the scenes and so much more that they have absorbed throughout the course of being a female athlete that can't be solved with just that simple, the guys deal with it as well.
Agreed. And the other piece of that too is if you see somebody that is using that language, if you see somebody that is maybe perpetuating some of these things we're trying to move away from, challenge them. Just say, well, what does it mean to throw like a girl? What does it mean to, what do you mean they can't play? Like, just ask little questions, because sometimes I think people say things because, like, you throw like a girl. People say it because it was in a movie, not because they necessarily believe it, but they're going to keep saying it. And the younger generation picks that up, and then that just perpetuates. And we're not helping anybody by doing that. So just ask the question, make them think twice about what the words that are coming out of their mouth, because they maybe don't mean those words, but not meaning it doesn't matter when someone else hears it.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're not saying it, then nobody misinterprets it.
Right. When that little girl hears it and she realizes that means that she can't throw well.
Yep, exactly.
Yes, definitely. I mean, that's huge. So tangible. So the comment of the male coaches deal with it too, or boy athletes have to deal with it too, just really dismisses all of the underlying feelings that female athletes and coaches are feeling. And if they continue to get dismissed, they're probably going to leave the sport faster.
Yep.
And there's research, the Tucker Center too, the research is that girls at the age of 14 drop out of sports at 2 times the rate of boys. And then, I mean, what we've seen is that there are just fewer female adults who are willing to jump in to become coaches because of all of these like undercurrents and these messages that are going around in our society and are accepted and used often. And so one takeaway too could be, if you get called out for that message or you're thinking those messages, like picture an 8-year-old girl and you are telling her that she can't do all these things. And are you really comfortable with telling that girl? And if you are, like, why?
Reconsider.
Why is it so important to you to make sure that little girl does not play that sport or does not become a strong athlete? And that would be something for you to explore on your own. With what values are you holding that encourage you or give you the authority to put down a little girl? Because that's exactly what you're doing.
Yep. And the world is, I say this a lot, if you know me, the world is unkind enough. We don't need to make it worse for people. We don't need to make it more unkind for anybody. So, I mean, if you really feel that way, it doesn't hurt to be quiet. Like, that doesn't hurt anything either. So,
right.
And if you're a parent that has something negative to say about your coach, telling another parent isn't going to help it. Just keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, let it go.
Or address it like an adult.
Yeah, have a conversation with the coach. Because if the coach doesn't know that something's not working, the coach probably isn't going to change that thing. So yes, have a conversation with as an adult with the coach, or maybe if you don't like the way things are going, jump in and do some coaching. On your own, and then you have more control about how things are going.
Okay, perfect. So our tangible items from this episode are challenge yourself in the language and the stereotypes that you have. Don't be dismissive of female coaches or athletes when they are telling you they're struggling with something. Don't it happens to males is not the answer. And there was a third one. I'm sure it was great.
We'll go back and add it in the show notes.
Perfect. Yeah. So thank you everyone for coming and listening again. We really appreciate it. And if you have any ideas for shows or guests or anything that you'd love to see, Sarah and I are really enjoying digging in and meeting new people, and we have some great stuff coming up. But if you want to, where can they reach us?
They can email us at twowomenwhogiveapuck@gmail.com. So any comments, concerns, questions, input that you want to include,
Yep.
you want to be interviewed, you have a story you want to share, like reach out to us. We'd be happy to have a conversation with you and possibly have you on the podcast as well.
Yep. Those beautiful studio. Come join us.
It is. All right. Well, to end this episode, I want to remind all you ladies out there that we belong in hockey and we deserve to be a part of the greatest game in the world.
And try and invite somebody else in.